Namaste, my kings and queens. How y'all doing tonight? I hope everybody's well, staying safe, taking care of their mental health in these trying times. I wanted to thank everyone for all the conversations and the input regarding my last video. There was a lot of questions and comments of people and their own personal experiences, and there was many questions on my personal experiences and people that actually required assistance in stepping out. I mean, there was people that just needed a reminder and just thanked me for what you get out of stepping out of your comfort zone. So that's what we're going to touch on today, comfort zones. This is not part of my project. This is just something that I wanted to share. It was a conversation that was had with many people, different insights, different points of views. It was fun. But there was a lot of similarities, and I think that's more or less what I'm going to touch on today, because I think in the end of the day it all boils down to the same thing. And I think once you sit there and take the necessary steps and do what you got to do and step out of what you're comfortable doing, then you're in that much of a better place. These are my personal opinions. I don't judge nobody. You live your life how you're going to live your life. But if I can sit there and help anybody and assist anybody, I'm going to do that. All right, so comfort zones. What are comfort zones? These are spaces that we put ourselves into in our everyday lives. We become used to how we do something, right? Therefore, we have a hard time changing, and they become day-to-day routines. And we get comfortable. We get comfortable in them, and we get lost in them, and we forget that there's so much more to life. So we're going to touch on a few things and a few steps that I took to break out of it. First, change is good. Many fear change. Many don't want change, but I think it's very necessary in order to grow in life. Growing is essential. I think it's very much. Otherwise, you stay stagnant. And when you're stagnant, are you really learning? I don't feel that we're learning much if we're stuck. Without stepping out of the comfort zones, we leave little space to change. Therefore, we're not growing as individuals. And is that really what we want in life? Question mark. The biggest question was how to step out. I think it sounds easy, right? It's not. There's a lot of steps required for it. I was very stuck in my own routine, my own schedule, and there were times that I would think, like, this is boring. I want to do something more. I knew I wanted to work on this project. I just always came up with excuses. I don't have time. The biggest excuse ever. I don't have time. What time? But then I sat there and I started thinking about all the little bits of downtime I have here and there, and I figured it out. And I guess with time, we all sit there and we figure it out. I think one of the most important steps in stepping out of your comfort zone is believing in yourself. Not depending on other people to believe in you, but you believing in yourself, in your craft, in what it is you're trying to do. Even if it's just everyday life stuff. It's just being your best at it. Not sitting there and just doing something you enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Once you believe in yourself, then it's time to take action. Um, you want to change, you got to push forward. You got to push forward. You got to put in the work. You got to find the time. That's where I think it becomes a little bit difficult for us, because like with myself, I said I have little bits here and there. It's like, so it's now, it becomes very staggered, and it's like, oh my goodness, where did I leave off? So I just started writing. I started writing everything down, my thoughts, how I wanted to go about discussing things. And once I had it on paper, I felt that much more comfortable, and it was easy for me to sit there and just put all my thoughts together and say, this is what I want to say. This is what I want the people to know. Making the time is difficult, especially as adults. We have responsibilities, we have our jobs, we have our children, we have families, we have our homes. So it becomes hard, but if you really want something, you'll make the time for it. But I think it's necessary that you believe in yourself before you sit there and start taking action. Because if you take action and you haven't done the work to really believe in yourself, any little thing is going to trigger you to sit there and be like, forget it. Right? I think the biggest question and the most important one, because this was exactly how I felt, was, what if I fail? And there's so many people that I discussed that with, and they will look at me like, why do you feel that? Why do you even think that? Because I know that in order for you to sit there and grow and to get to the places that you want to be, there's going to be failure involved. And you need to be okay with that. You need to be comfortable with it. And you need to sit there and take failure as a lesson. Anything that you do, it doesn't go right the first time. Now you know how to do it better the second time, right? So in the end of the day, we learn. And I think that's the biggest, most important part of it. And there's no reason to fear the failure, because something's going to come out of it in the end. So I think that it is necessary to fail. You're in school, you take a test, you fail. What happens? Well, if you want to pass, what happens? You start studying. The next test, you better prepare. Do a better job. You get a better grade. So it's sort of kind of something like that, if you want to look at it in an easier way. So what are you comfortable doing that you have a hard time changing or don't want to change, but you know that if you do change, you'll be that much better, or the situation will be that much better, or you'll be that much more happier? So then what's holding you back? These are things we have to think about. And even if it's not, writing so much, you could jot down your thoughts. I think keeping a journal is very important. You write down these thoughts, there's always something to go back to. So when the day comes that you succeed, you can go back to sit there and see all the trial and error it took you to get here. Make sense? And I have one final thing to say. You need to understand, stepping out of your comfort zone, you're not going to be comfortable doing it. There are many things that you're going to step out and you're going to find very uncomfortable. You can't let it discourage you. You have to keep going. You're going to go through the motions, but you have to stick through it. Nothing is perfect the first time around. So don't be hard on yourself. Learn. Just learn. Do and learn. And eventually you'll get where you want to be, in my opinion. Don't give up. These are all natural feelings, and they're feelings that are necessary before we level up.